Hello, everyone. So I'm indeed in a very interesting situation. Like after my, in a 7-member panel, I'm the last speaker, and pretty much everything that I intended to talk is eventually being covered. But since I've made the presentation, I have invested time, effort into it, so I still need to hit, right? And at the same point of time, you guys sitting there, you're seeing like, oh, he's the last guy between me and the hot coffee outside, right? But I'm also waiting for that. So I'll just try to make it, pretty brief. But as I said, I need to do justice to my effort. So here I am. So everybody, we have been talking all about the value of the patents, right? So let us take a hard metric. I'm sure all of you here in this room are aware with the monetary value associated with patents. So let us see some of the big bets in the world of patents. Anybody has any, just want to add to my first slide, that this was really the big, buck patent deal. How about this one? But I guess it happened back in 2011, and Nortel, though the Nortel was going bankrupt, but its patent was estimated to 4.5 billion. And that portfolio was close to 6,000 patents. Here comes another one, the Google and the Motorola mobility transaction. I know there have been a lot of going back and forth over there, but Google made a point that the main reason that they are acquiring it is because of the patent value. And they estimated it was close to 4 billion at that point of time. Now here's something which is more recent, 2014, AOL, which Microsoft bought their patents for 1 billion. And look at the number of the patents, just 800. So guys, this is something real, big. Just take 800 patents from AOL, do the simple maths, 1 billion for 800. So that means one patent, a document of 10, 15 pages, the cost is close to 1.3 million. So that is really, the fun, and that's the, the real part of the patents. So what is a patent portfolio? I don't have to say that right now. It's just bunch of collection of patents. They may be related to one technology area. They may be related to different technologies. What effort eventually will go more from the managing perspective is 3 things. All my panel members have hit on that: planning, development, and the management. And eventually it results into revenue. We just saw some examples. And revenue is for the patent owners. But there is a lot of value associated with the patents that are there in the world for third parties, for people who want to learn from that, right? Because patent is a public knowledge. And that big knowledge base can actually be utilized and leveraged very well for the intelligence for R&D. Because there is a lot to learn from patents, and we will see that. I'll take one example towards the end of my presentation, that how actually it relates to kind of projecting the technology trends and what is happening or what is the future of the technology. So with this introduction of the topic, so I'll hit quickly some of these bullet points over here. So I come from the research center of GE located in Bangalore. So it's a central R&D center where it's a 50 acres campus, close to 5,000 scientists and engineers are working over there. They're working on different aspects of GE businesses, right from transportation to healthcare, to aviation, oil and gas, energy management systems, and power and water. Now, coming to the key topic. So we saw the value associated with patents. Now, how actually the whole planning and development framework works, and how by doing a better management, the portfolio can be optimized and it can be kept more juicy from the revenue perspective. We have seen this, everybody almost talked about it, that patent portfolio gives us a competitive advantage, exclusivity, licensing revenue, a brand value. Now let us take a look at how a solid IP portfolio is generated and created. So what I have called here is more a traditional approach, and this would be somewhat related to what Mr. Beat and Mr. Ganpati showed, that, right, you put in money into R&D and that's how you develop technology, right? So this is what the traditional approach is, that you decide, oh, this is the area that we want to get the patents from, or product from, so that's where you put the focus. It goes through the idea generation, goes through the evaluation. Evaluation is essentially to identify what to do with those ideas. Like IP is not just patents. It can be part of the strategy. Those can be filed as patents. Those can be put as copyright, trade secrets, even as defensive publications, where you just want to you don't want to patent it, but at the same token, you don't want anybody else to patent it. So you do the defense publication as well. Or you can just abandon, right? Then it goes through the patent drafting and filing, prosecution and maintenance, and a lot of cost is associated with that, and that eventually hits the business outcome. So we see this is a fairly linear process. It starts with what is already there at the R&D and then what we are creating. If we just invert this, focus on what is the desired business outcome, and then move from there, that what portfolio is going to give me that desired outcome. That's where we need to have, what is the landscape? How what kind of things others are doing in that area? What are the gaps? What are the risks? Where is the opportunity? That all those factors, one of my panel member had talked about it. It's not just the patent, but all these factors about the ecosystem, about the landscape, about the policies, procedures, and that should be considered in order to make the innovation strategy. And that is something then the research and development should take place, and then we can have the linear process going on. But is this the right thing? Yes, of course, but it shouldn't be a frozen thing. What I mean to say that this is, again, a cyclic process. What do I mean by that? You have done it once, but there is a need to continuously keeping a tab on it, monitoring how the rest of the world is evolving, the technologies by other players are taking shape, so that you can monitor that, you can have that intelligence continuously feed into your portfolio development strategy. So it has to be taken a look again and again and again. It's not something that, okay, it's just done with this at one point of time and lock it. So main thing, it has to be iterative process, continuous process, and a lot driven by business knowledge and analytics. What do I mean by that? Is targeting first that what is the desired business outcome, rather than focusing on the R&D efforts. Now, I talked about the knowledge which is there because the patents which is existing, and that can be used as a good tool, in fact, patent intelligence, to learn a lot and take that intelligence and put that intelligence into the R&D efforts that we are targeting, what outcomes we want. So in short, there is a lot to learn from that. One example, if I see that, what are the next technology big bets? So you see the two nice pictures over here, and people can guess I'm talking about essentially about nothing but 3D printing. And 3D printing is hot right now. Right? We read stories in newspapers that there was a skull got printed using a 3D printer back in Bangalore. Wipro did it. But is this something new? Probably not. The world has been experimenting with the 3D printing. Look at the patenting trend over here. If you go back, see, when the inception of the technology was happening long, long back. So what I mean, if I am, or if we are a manufacturing company, or our core business is manufacturing, there's a lot here that we can learn to see that what are those manufacturing technologies which are going to be disruptive and which are going to change the scene of the manufacturing. So this is a value which is there for patent owners, but at the same token, it's for everybody who can learn from this. Now, so we talked a lot about what should be the framework to have, generate a very solid and juicy portfolio. But it sounds a lot of work. So can it be done by just one team? No, because normally the assumption is that, oh, this is an IP, so it has to be done by the IP or the legal team. But as we have seen that it requires a lot of input, so it's not essentially only the work of the IP or the legal team. Team, technology, and commercial teams have to pitch in their efforts. So it's a lot more collaborative because you see the pyramid, the base of the pyramid here, where there's a lot of business knowledge, a lot of data analytics is required in order to build that portfolio which can be leveraged. So yeah, this is a lot more collaborative and not just the work of one particular team in any organization. Now, certain aspects of portfolio. So we said, yeah, you put a strategy, consider many other factors regarding the competition, regarding the market, regarding the policies, and all of that. Now, a few more things which need to be considered here is what to file, where to file, and that's where the business decision comes, like where is your market? What are the segments that you are really kind of keeping as exceptions or on the top of your rest of the rack? And the reason is because patenting is a cost-intensive process. Keeping the patent alive for 20 years, you need to kind of keep paying the maintenance fee. In some jurisdiction every year, in some jurisdiction you just do this in 4 years. So